everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Heather and we're a fun, fabulous sewing channel where I am always me and I encourage all of you to be you. Today we are doing something super fun and we have the most exciting announcement ever. Okay, so first, what are we doing? Well, we are making a hair tool bag today, and I'm giving you all of the measurements that I used. I have been seeing these bags more and more like pop up all over social media and Pinterest and all the places. They're everywhere, right? And I'm like, all right, like we should make one. So I got this like really pretty, luxurious material and I got it a while ago, like I do with a lot of my materials, with no idea what I was going to do with it. And then I realized this hair tool bag was going to be absolutely perfect. And here she is. Look at her. Oh, yes, you guys. All right. So we'll talk about the bag first, and then I'm going to tell you the exciting announcement that we have. Also, this video is like a twofer. All right, so here's our bag. We have double zips. We quilted 2-inch apart. This is like, it's like a velvet, super smush, right? Now I will drop all of the measurements in the description box below this video, so you don't have to remember what I'm saying. It'll be there. You can take a screenshot of it, but we cut our exterior and interior materials at 20 inches by 20 inches. We boxed our corners at 2.5-inch squares. That gave us 5 inches in height, okay? And then we've got tabs. We used webbing, so 1 inch wide by 2.5 inches in length. So we have 2 of those. We used a dual zipper pull here. I'm going to open this in a second. And this is the first one I've ever made, and so I don't have a bag tag on it, but I did measure afterwards. And if you wanted to put a bag tag sort of center, you would do it 3.5 inches from the top of your bag before you start to put it all together. So you add your zips and all that, measure 3.5 inches down center, put your bag tag. It's going to end up about right here, which is where you'd want your bag tag to be. I will open this for you. My arm started to hurt when I was making this because I was like holding it out. If you film tutorials, you know what I'm talking about, because like you can't do anything close to your body because then people can't see it. Okay, so we just got like a cotton inside. We did bind the corners and the ends, and so this is a bound bag. But if you are, there are other ways to do this bag without binding. I use French seams in like a makeup bag tutorial that I do. So there's like different things that you can do. If you are not a fan of binding, you don't have to do it like that. It's just, I wanted to do it like that to give our corners some good structure because we're using like batting, you know. All right, let me put a hair tool in here. This is my favorite hair tool. It's a waver, bed head, wave we go. But yeah, like, and you know what? I didn't realize that I needed a hair tool bag until Mike and I went away for his company excursion. And I was just like throwing my tools in our suitcase. And I'm like, you know, it's time. It's time to make a hair tool bag. So that's what we're doing today. Before we head on over to the sewing machine though, you guys, are you ready? I'm so excited. I have been hard at work behind the scenes making some mayhem. If you're part of our sewing group, our Facebook group, it's the Mayhem Makers. And my name is Heather Mayhem. And so I've been hard at work making Mayhem Maker swag and all the fun stuff. And I'm wearing one right now. Look. Ah! It's a sweatshirt. It's so cute. We've got a really cute floral design in our Mayhem Maker, and like, this has been my thing. I've been wanting to make good swag, and so what I'm doing is designing it, and it's actually screen printed. It's like anything that you would get at the store, and I'm not doing the screen printing myself. So when they're shipping out and things like that, they're not coming from me, so you won't get like a cute little note, but you will be able to rep Mayhem Maker in lots of different ways. I was like, oh, I was so pumped to put this on when it came. I pre-ordered some things just to make sure the quality was good. Since I'm designing them and like picking the colors and making the designs and doing all those things, I wanted to make sure that when it came, it was a quality that you would normally get from like a bag that I would make. You know, it's high quality. And these are such high quality. We have tons of different designs. I'm adding new designs every day, but I felt like finally I had enough designs, I had enough samples that came back really like top notch. Like, I am pumped, you guys, like pumped. So I felt like we had enough that we could launch. Now, the website to buy these is different from my like handmade Etsy website. And so that's just, yeah, I will link that below. But if you guys wanted some gear, some swag, you can pick it up now. And it would just make my heart so, so happy to know that there are people wandering around the world in the wild wearing our Mayhem Maker gear. We have sweatshirts, we have t-shirts, we have hats, we have bags with our favorite little Mayhem Maker raccoon. You'll see. It's so cute. I like can't stop myself. I should stop myself, but I can't stop myself. And so because I can't, there's just tons of options and really fun things to get while you're there. So I will drop the link to this swag site in my description box below also. And it would just mean the world to me if you guys found some things on there that you just loved. And if you join my sewing group, if you're a sewist, and, you know, show off some pictures of yourself with some swag, I think that would be so fun also. All right. So excited. Let's head on over to the machine and get working on our hair tool bag. All right, you guys, we're at the machine, which as always is a Juki TL2010Q. We are using Tex 35 weight thread in a polyester blend in color white. We have a Microtex 9014 needle in, and we're using our tank foot for high shank machines. The numbers on the side are KT141. Okay. Now, our interior is just a cotton in this sort of cream color that we're going to set to the side for now because we need to do our quilting before we can do anything else. And then we've got 2 pieces of webbing. This is 1 inch wide webbing cut at 2.5 inches in length. And this is what we're going to use for our little side tabs on the side of our zippers. And then we've got our zipper, and what I did was just cut a zip about 22 inches in length, a little longer than we needed. And we've got 1 zip pull, but you know, like now I'm thinking maybe I want 2. So I think we'll probably end up doing 2 zip pulls on here because it is a pretty long bag, and I like the look of 2 on a long bag. So we'll set those to the side as well. We're going to use double fold bias tape to finish off the edges and the corners on the inside. And this is just from Amazon. I will link this in the description box as well as anything else that I can, including the measurements that we're using for today's tutorial in the description box. So just make sure you pop that open and you'll see links and measurements and all those good things. Okay, and then we've got our exterior material, which is this velvet and it's an upholstery velvet from Fabric Wholesale Direct. It's like an emerald color. It is so cute. And then we've got extra loft batting, and this I just get from Walmart or Amazon. So we need to do our quilting before we do anything else. I'm going to do 2-inch wide marks for our quilt, and so I'm just going to find the center. Our material is 20 by 20, so I'm going to find the center, and I'm going to mark it just with a little snip. on the top and the bottom. And when I cut batting, I just cut it bigger than what we need. And we cut off the extra after. I just find that that's easier than trying to make sure it stays exactly where we want it. All right, and then what I'm gonna do to make our lines, and I'm gonna do this kind of off camera because this piece is so big that it's actually hard for me to do over here. I'll have to bring it over to the finish table, but I wanted to show you. So we're gonna take our Omni Grid, our long one. This one is 24 inches by 3.5 inches. And we're just gonna line up our center triangles like so. We'll take our air erasing pen. I think we might be drying out here. And we're gonna make that mark, okay? And then we'll use that as our guide for our next marks. So 2 inches over. Okay, that's our next one. And so like we'll keep going like that all the way across our material until we have lines all the way to the edges. All right, we've got all of our marks on here and we're just doing a simple sew straight up and down. So I'm going to start in our center line. And I'm just going to make sure that our panels are all set, that there's enough space on the top and the bottom and the sides of our batting to have extra, and we're just going to stitch. Okay, so that is one line, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on all of them. So I'm just going to do that off camera because it's exactly the same, and then we'll trim away our extra and we'll have our exterior piece ready to go. All right, we are quilted. It looks luxurious and super cute. So we're going to take our zip now and we're going to put it right side down across the top. Like I said, I cut this longer than we need so that we don't have to be exact. And I'm going to clip this all the way across. Right side down, so the right sides are together. And you could baste these two pieces in place, but we're just going to add in our lining here in a second. It's so big. So big. All right, and then we'll take our lining piece and we're just going to add that in. Now this is a cotton, so there's no right or wrong side, but if you had a right or wrong side, you'd want to put your right side down so that your right side of your interior was facing the right side of your exterior. Okay. And this happens when you quilt. Sometimes your exterior will get a little smaller, and if we need to, we'll just cut off any excess that we have. We're going to go ahead and stitch everything together now. Put our zip in. We're sewing about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. That'll be what we stick with. And we do have some overhang here, so I'm just going to try to watch where our exterior ends. Okay, so see that extra? We're going to go ahead right now. Just make sure that everything else is lined up. And we're going to trim off this extra material so that we don't get it confused, so we don't end up with the wrong seam allowance, so we don't cut and miss our exterior. All the things that could happen if your interior is too big. And this is typical, you guys, when you quilt. Your material shrinks because of that quilting, so you can always wait to cut your interior pieces until after you've quilted. All right. Now we're going to do a top stitch. So just make sure all of your material is away from that zipper. And a top stitch is 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Kind of making sure that everything stays where we want it. And I'm always backstitching, you guys, so that's definitely important. Always. Okay, top stitch is complete. Now we can bring this, and you know what, you guys, I really want to do a bag tag, but I don't know where to put it. All right, so we can bring up our material and just make sure that you're matching those edges. Okay, and the top, so the sides and the top. And again, clip it all the way down. And everything should match. Okay, and then your lining, you're just gonna fold right up and do the same exact thing. Just match everything, and everything, like I said, should match now because we already trimmed our excess lining off. My arms hurt from holding this up. It's like heavy. It's heavy. You know what happens? When I hold on camera, I'm holding so far away from me that my arms are up. It's just like an excessive workout, I guess. All right. Looks like we need to readjust just slightly here. All right. Let's go ahead, sew this on now. Same seam allowance, 1/4 inch. Make sure we got everything. Looks like we did. All right, we're gonna go ahead and, I know this can be scary, but we're gonna open up our zip all the way. And pull our bag right side out. This is the only way that we can top stitch. Okay. And we'll top stitch just the same way that we did before. All right, top stitch is all set. Now we want to find the centers. This will help us later. So I'm just combining where our materials kind of fold over at that zip. Cut in that center. Okay, now we want to put our zipper pulls on. And we have two, so we're going to put one on each side. And we have the bag wrong side out right now, so we're going to just make sure that the zipper pull gets put on the shiny side of the zip. You want it on the right side so that the pull itself is on your exterior material. Okay, right in the center. So see, we're looking at the back side. Just make sure that that's what you're doing. You do not want a little oopsie moment. Okay, and this one to the center. Believe it or not, we're almost finished our bag here. So easy peasy. We're gonna chop off our extra zip so that we can see what's going on, and I will make sure that once we're actually finished, that we burn our ends. Whenever you cut zip tape, you want to make sure that you burn the ends so that it doesn't fray over time, okay? Very important. All right. So we want to take our centers and match those up with our zip. Okay, and then we can kind of reach in, get everything else to pull where we want it to. And clip. Again, we're looking at the inside of the bag right now, okay? I'm gonna pull these a little bit up. There we go. Okay, same thing on this side. And it looks like we are not matched up on this side somehow, but that's okay because we'll just do a little chop chop to match everything up. Not worried. So we'll have to, how did that happen, you guys? How did that happen? All right, I'm going to measure. See if we come in about a 1/2 inch. Will that take care of most of our issue? And it will, I think. So that's okay. I mean, obviously not ideal, right? But it's easier to fix it now than later. So I'm just going to go ahead and just trim that up. Like I said, it's only a 1/2 inch, so and I actually have special zips for cutting through zipper teeth, so I have to grab those before we cut through that part. But it's fine. There's a fix for everything, you guys. That's what I love about sewing. We're terrible at measuring. That's okay. Okay. Fixed. Like it never happened. Like it never happened. Also, I like to include when we make little oopsie moments because I think that they're just more realistic to where people are at in their sewing journey. Like everybody makes mistakes and you'll never see me leaving those out. Not my jam. All right, we're gonna box our corners before we stitch anything, okay? So I want 2.5 by 2.5 inch boxes. That should give us a 5-inch height on our final product. So I've got this little 2.5 by 2.5 Omni grid. We're just gonna line that up with the edges, you guys. Easy peasy. Okay, we're gonna do that on all 4 sides. And then we'll cut these out. All right, so that's what we have now. We cut out our corners in all the sides. Now, before we forget, we do want to make sure that we add in our little, what do you call these? I don't know. And we're just lining them up center with the zipper, okay? Tabs? We'll call them tabs. We'll call them tabs, you know. Just make sure that your finished loop is going towards the inside and your unfinished pieces are towards the outside. All right, we're actually gonna use a 3/4 inch seam allowance to close up these short edges, and then we'll trim it back to a 1/4 inch so that we can use binding. And we're just taking our time over the different layers. Okay. Same thing over here. And this is a good amount of layers, you guys, so definitely take your time. Okay, and we're just going to trim down this seam allowance here. Like I said, we want to make it so that it's easy to add our binding. My scissors that cut through zipper are not as sharp as my scissors that I save for materials, so sometimes we gotta go back and forth a little bit. Okay. All right, we'll do the same thing on this side, and then we'll add our binding. All right, so we did one side already with binding, and you guys, this is not difficult at all. Just take your binding, cut a strip that's a little bit longer. Open it up. It's double fold, right? So you can kind of trim out some of this bulky layer here if you want. Just don't trim back your material, right? But if you're having trouble sort of getting your binding over, you can do that. And then you just fold it over. Make sure your material is folded over correctly. Okay. And then stitch it on. And starting can be the most difficult part here because you want to make sure that you get everything where it needs to be. But once you're sure, trim your excess. Now we can box our corners. So that is, we're just pulling apart until we've got a straight line. And because we're using binding here, again, we're stitching everything together. Okay. And so we'll just go through and box all of our corners just like that and get ready for stitching. All right, you guys, so everything is clipped. I like to put our stitch down towards the bottom of the bag, our side stitch. So we're just going to go ahead and sew these together. And we're using a 3/8 inch seam allowance here as well, just to make sure we catch everything. Take our time over that binding piece. Okay, and we're going to keep going just like that on all 4 sides until we're complete. All right, so once all of our corners are sewn together, you guessed it, we're just gonna add our binding. And we trimmed down our seam allowances to be able to fit that 1/4 inch. And we need that because that's how wide our binding ends up being when it's in half. Kind of goes across that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So it's just important to have a nice finish, to cut down those edges. If you are making your own binding, you can make it as wide as you want. Not such a big deal. Okay, so we're just going to stitch our binding on all 4 corners just like that, and then we'll trim off the extra, and we can go ahead and take a look at our completed hair tool bag. All right, you guys, we are done. And you know what? I'm so happy that we went with the dual zipper because it's such a long bag. It's definitely better. And it's just easier when you open a dual zip. I know it opens the same amount, but it feels like it opens wider. And so I kind of love that. I'm just here for the double zip. You could definitely, this size, you can fit a few different hair tools in here. I would say this is like a good size, a good go-to size if you have a couple, like a straight iron, a wave iron, a curl iron. Like you could fit all of them in here, no problem. And you'd still have a little bit of space for like a brush, which also my brush is always just hanging around. So now it's got a little home. But yeah, I wish you could feel this material. I think you can see how like bougie it is. Obsessed with it. Like, look at our ends. I mean, like, everything just came out so good. I definitely would suggest that you make one of these, and don't forget to grab some Mayhem Maker swag while you're working on making your next project. I hope that you had so much fun today. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I've been dying to figure out how to make one of these, so I hope that the free measurements will help you also make some of these. These are going to be hot sellers at markets and fairs, and so just make sure that you add this to your arsenal so that you have it for now or for later, whichever you want. I hope that you'll have a great rest of your day today, and I will see you soon.